Hey guys, Daryl here, coming to you tired, a little worn out, but excited, very, very excited. So we'll get to what has me tired in just a moment, but I want to start with asking you a question. If I told you that tomorrow you and the rest of your team were going to go into a 10-hour long Zoom meeting, what's the first word that comes to mind? All right. As you think about that, I want you to hit the comments and I want you to let me know what that word or phrase is. So tomorrow you just found out, got an email from your boss or figured out that your team has to come together. You're going to be on Zoom together for 10 hours because you're socially distanced. What feelings come up for you? What word come to mind? So I'm asking that question because I'm eager to find out if it's similar to how I was feeling going into this past weekend. So my word would be dreadful, right? So again, if you haven't done it yet, hit the comments. Let me know what that word is. 10-hour meeting tomorrow. How does it have you feel? Whether you're watching live, right? If you're watching live, I should be seeing these start to roll in. If you're watching this on replay, I still want to get your comments. Jump down there. Let me know how you would feel. Again, my word was dreadful. I've known this training was coming, right? So what has me tired is I spent the last 3 days, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, in 30 hours worth of virtual training, 10 hours a day for 3 straight days virtual training, right? And again, I was excited about the topics. I was excited to grow my skills. It was all around what I do as a coach. For those of you that don't know, I am a professional coach that helps entrepreneurs and professionals build the life and the business that they really want. Right? So what does that mean? That means I help people make more money. I help people grow their business. I help people figure out marketing challenges or go to market challenges. I help people that have business ideas but don't know how to get out there, get started and get moving, right? I help people that are sitting on potential, that have goals they haven't been able to achieve, right? And things that they haven't been able to do, move forward, push forward, and build the life and business of their dreams. So this training I spent all this time in was addressing some of that, right? I was going to be learning some new skills, picking up some new tools, and I was really excited about the content. What I wasn't excited about was being stuck in front of a computer for 30 hours over 3 days, so 10 hours a day. I dreaded it. Right up until the very first day, we get going, and I'm still just feeling it. I couldn't have been more wrong. It was incredible, right? And you probably hear my voice, right? I'm not drained. I'm not worn out. I feel a little tired, right? 30 hours is a long time doing anything, but I am so excited about what these last few days have meant, what they've been, what I've learned, and what I get to bring to the table to impact all of you through these videos, through our one-on-one interactions over coffee, and through our partnerships as in a one-to-one coaching relationship. 30 hours, it was incredible, right? It was, I'm almost having a hard time describing it because I would have never expected anybody to be able to pull off making a 30-hour virtual training exciting, engaging, fun, impactful, set up to where we retain knowledge. We were tuned in. It was really incredible. And so I wanted to bring that up today, one, because it's so fresh, but two, because we're all in a lot of Zoom meetings. We're all consuming a lot of content. We're all talking to our partners and our peers and our colleagues through video cameras and through computers and through phones with all the social distancing that's going on right now. I know a lot of offices are still closed. I know teams that haven't seen each other in months, right? And when I talk to clients and when I talk to friends, they tell me that if they have to do another Zoom meeting, another Microsoft Teams meeting, another Google Hangout, like they're just ready to pull their hair out, right? And we all know it's necessary. We all know we still have to communicate. And I think we're all thankful for tools that allow us to do that and keep pushing things forward, even when we can't be together. But it can be exhausting, right? And that's why this weekend stood out to me, because we spent so much time doing this, talking to each other through screens, and yet it wasn't boring. It wasn't draining. It wasn't, it wasn't a place where we found ourselves distracted the whole time, right? I was engaged. So I want to take a moment and just reflect on what they did. And then better yet, what did they do that I can pass on to you guys for your next Zoom meeting, your next training, your next conference, whatever virtual thing you may have coming up? What are some things that you can do so that it's not boring, right? So that it doesn't wear out the people that you work with so that people look forward to it? And then how can you keep that going for however long we're doing this virtual stuff, right? And I'm willing to bet it's going to be a while. So the topic today, how great leaders combat Zoom fatigue. So when we think about 30 hours, I want to jump and start with the last 20 minutes, right? And that is only to, I think, solidify this point. In the last 20 minutes, I watched as people thanked the instructors, thanked their colleagues, their classmates for the incredible experience. People were talking about how connected they felt. People were talking about the friendships and relationships they felt they made over 3 days, all from their own homes or bedrooms or offices or wherever it may be, through a computer, right? People took initiative and did things to just create very real connection. It's very authentic connection. I made some incredible relationships with people that I didn't know going into the weekend that I believe will be around for a very long time, if not for the rest of my life. And all that happened this weekend in a virtual training. We had one guy who took the initiative to start a roster, and he said, hey, look, anybody that wants to stay connected, shoot me your name, your email. I'll put it all in a roster, and I'll email it to everybody. And I think last night I got version 4 of that because people just keep adding to it, right? And the fact that there are so many names on that thing makes me, it tells me that they did something to make people want to be there, to make people want to be connected, right? I've been on a lot of virtual trainings, webinars and whatnot that I'm not giving anybody else there my information. Hell, I don't even know who else is there, right? But this was different. Since the training ended Sunday night, I've been getting emails and texts from people who want to stay connected, who are interested in what I'm doing in my business, who want to find ways to work together, who are asking about things they learned about me over the weekend, right? So there was just very real, authentic connection that happened virtually. So how they do it and what from it can you take into your next virtual meeting, your next virtual training? Right. So I've laid out a few things I want to share with you. And I want to keep this pretty concise, so I'm not going to go over everything. Again, 3 days, 30 hours, but there were some big ones, right? The first one is they made it fun. They just made it fun. And I think fun is a word that probably doesn't come up for a lot of us when we think about our meetings, much less our virtual meetings, right? And because things are different, because we don't have the water cooler talk, because we don't have the side jokes and side comments and a lot of the stuff that may happen in a true office setting when we're virtual, I think leadership has to go out of their way to create fun, create excitement, create engagement, more so than they might in the past, right? So when you think about your virtual meetings, when you think about your trainings, are they fun, right? Do you enjoy it? Are your people enjoying it, right? And if they're not, what can you do to bring some of that fun to the table, right? One of the things that these guys did was there was a game that started on day 1 and didn't wrap up until the last hour of day 3. So it spanned across the entire time, right? And it created this sense of us, the attendees, versus them, the leadership, the instructors, the people putting it on, right? And there's just an energy about it while half of it was trying to figure out what the hell was going on. The other half was trying to put together strategy and figure out how to win. There was just a lot going on, but it was an added element that was fun. And then at the end, when it was all laid out and we truly understood what was going on, there's some really pertinent lessons that I know, at least for me, will stick with me for a long time. So they figured out, how do we teach something? How do we demonstrate or illustrate something? But how do we make it fun? And it's so natural for us, right? You may be saying to yourself, well, our culture is not really, we don't do that, right? We don't do the fun stuff. We don't do the goofy stuff. We don't do that. And if you are, that's okay. I know a lot of cultures, I've been in a lot of cultures that don't. But I'll tell you that even if it's not a big part of your business culture, it could be a part of your team. It could be a part of your meetings. It could be something you bring to the table to create a little more energy, a little more engagement, right? So that'd be the first thing I'd just ask. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to make stuff fun because I think it's different for everybody. It depends on your personality. It depends on the business. It depends what's going on and the people you have involved. But I'm willing to bet if you ask yourself that one simple question, is this fun or how can I make it fun? You can come up with some really creative ways to change up your next meeting, right? Secondly, I would say make it interactive. I've been in so many of these Zoom meetings where you've got an instructor or a teacher or a boss who spends an hour talking to all the people sitting there watching, right? And it gets stale, it gets tough, right? It's hard to listen to anything for that long, much less something that I'm not truly engaged in or involved in, right? So figure out ways to make your meeting interactive. A couple ideas. So this group did so well because they took full advantage of the breakout rooms, right? So we were often put in breakout rooms with different people, and there was always an objective. I mean, I've sat in on a lot of Zoom meetings where there's one general conversation because there's a goal. And I'll just throw out, we're going to plan an event, right? So there's a Zoom meeting and everybody's there and everybody's contributing and sharing ideas, but it turns into one person's talking and everybody else spends a lot of time listening, right? Even when it's your turn to share, you may share for a minute or two, but then you're just sitting there and listening while everybody else is talking. One of the things they did really well was they created these breakout rooms. They put us into smaller groups. And whatever the objective was, whatever the goal was, they said, hey, go into your breakout room and figure it out. Now, a lot of times there were some structured activities, but whatever it was is we got to figure it out in a small breakout room. So instead of being in a big Zoom call with 10, 20, 30, 40 people at a time, you can create these breakout rooms, which create groups of 3, 4, 5 people. And now people are engaged. Now people are looking for how to contribute. They're sharing ideas. They're talking about what will and won't work, right? They're taking other people's ideas and improving on them, right? It gives people more space to talk and be engaged. And when you do this, I think it's really important to create a spokesperson. Tell each group, hey, we want to hear your ideas in the bigger group. Find a spokesperson to share your ideas. Figure out a fun way to bring it back to the group. And now you're getting those perspectives all the way around. So instead of this just being one huge conversation where everybody's doing a lot of listening, you create a lot of smaller conversations. And then you figure out through the spokesperson how to bring the most important, the best, the most impactful ideas back to the bigger group. And it creates a really fun way to move forward, right? You get to see some themes develop. You get to see some ideas that come up multiple times. You get to see how to build from one to the other. So everybody gets involved and it's more doing, more talking, more engagement, and less just listening, right? I think another thing is asking questions. Again, I see so many leaders staying up for an hour, 90 minutes, just giving information, right? And they don't use questions effectively to get people involved. You all saw me do it at the start of this video, right? When I'm asking you, hey, when you think of a 10-hour Zoom meeting, what's the first thought that comes to mind? And if you didn't answer then, I would still love for you to answer now. So hit the comments. And even though this isn't back and forth, it still gives you something to think about. It gives you a way to get engaged even in this short video. So if we can do it here, I'm sure you can do it in your bigger meetings. Make sure you're asking questions. Make sure you're hearing other people's voices and getting other people's energy, right? That stuff's contagious. And then, I think the last thing, and this may be the thing that is often missed, and honestly, I don't know how you're gonna feel about it when you first hear it, but I think it's really important that as leaders, we find ways to make these meetings uplifting, right? Our people are hurting, right? Our people are struggling, right? People are trying to figure out how to balance work and how to balance, virtual learning and their kids. We're trying to figure out how to work through social isolation, not being able to see our friends and go to restaurants and do a lot of the things that we used to do, right? And even though it may not come up and your people may not come to you and tell you, I'm willing to bet that some people are struggling right now. So why shouldn't work be a place where we don't feel socially isolated? Why shouldn't work be a place where we can feel uplifted and supported, right? And I think we can do it through these Zoom meetings. I think we can do it through our daily stand-ups or our weekly meetings or our cross-functional team meetings, whatever it may be. This provides an awesome opportunity for you as a leader to take care of your people in a really special way. I'll tell you, in the meeting we did over the weekend, they did something silly, and I'm going to show it to you. And I know I'm going to feel silly about it because I felt silly about it doing it over the weekend. I was hesitant. In fact, the first couple of times I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. But by the end of it, I was all in. And now here I am 3 days later willing to share it with a bunch of you, right? So when people had good ideas, when people contributed something to the meeting, when people needed to be celebrated, because there were a lot of people in this Zoom class and a lot of people spend most of the time on mute, they figured out another way to show people that, hey, we support you. right? Round of applause makes sense, right? That's what we see often. And then I feel like over the last 2 years, you've seen kind of the snapping thing that people do. Well, they did something called a whoosh. And this is something where, it would be, hey, a whoosh for Tommy. And everybody would take their hands over their heart and go whoosh into the camera, right? Silly. But it was fun. And when you see 60, 80 people all doing the same thing, it's contagious, right? That energy spreads and you get more involved. And when they're doing it towards you, I will admit it feels great. So we can use our Zoom meetings to be uplifting, to be inspiring, to make people feel good. Right? So those are just 3 ideas, right? Make it fun, make it interactive, and make it uplifting that you can think about as you go to plan out your next Zoom meeting. How are you going to make it fun? How are you going to make it interactive? And how are you going to make it uplifting? And I think if you can bring those 3 elements to the table, you will see a different kind of energy in your meetings. I think you'll see a different response from your team. And if you do it well, you might even see people looking forward to the next time the entire team gets together in one of these meetings. So hopefully I've said something that has been helpful. Hopefully I've given you something to think about before you plan your next Zoom meeting. Right? Hopefully I've given you something that helps you combat Zoom fatigue in your own business, in your own life. But there's more. There were other things that I learned that I just don't have time to get into. But I'm going to put together a short PDF that you can download. I will actually put the link down in the comments. And you can jump over, you can download it, and you can see some of the other things I learned that you'll be able to bring into your meeting. It's not going to be really wordy or really lengthy. It's just me trying to share some of the other simple ideas that you can use to fix your next Zoom meeting. So again, if this has been a help for you, if you want to spend some time getting together and talking about what's going on in your business, in your culture, with your disconnected team, right? What are some things to achieve the business goals you have, the personal goals you have, whatever it is? You guys know me, right? This is me. I'm casual. I am not overly buttoned up. Reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. Let's see where you are. And if there's something I can do to better support you or help you or push the things, the goals, the vision you have for your life and business forward, I'd be honored to do so. So you can find me at darrellsweeney.com.